do have breaking news. President-elect Trump has sued the Des Moines Register and its retiring star pollster Ann Selzer over a poll that had Vice President Harris ahead of him in Iowa. Trump ultimately did win Iowa. The suit argues the poll constituted election interference. At his news conference, Trump telegraphed this was coming.
I want to expand on the defamation lawsuits. Could you see moving that to other people with individual platforms, social media influencers, people that...
Or newspapers, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I do. I think you have to do it because they're very dishonest. I'm going to be bringing one against the people in Iowa, their newspaper, which had a very, very good pollster who got me right all the time. And then just before the election, she said I was going to lose by 3 or 4 points.
All right, CNN's Brian Stelter is with us now. Brian, you were part of the team that broke this story along with Paula Reed and Caitlin Polance. First of all, tell us what this suit is. This is not exactly a defamation suit.
Yeah, I'm going to just stop it right there. For those of you that aren't familiar or wondering why they keep bringing up defamation suits, it's because Trump just won almost $13 million, almost $13 million from a defamation lawsuit that he won from ABC. So, honestly, conservatives are winning right now. I mean, let's just be honest. Conservatives are winning right now.
No, unlike a lot of the lawsuits Trump has filed in the past, usually unsuccessfully against news outlets, this is not a defamation suit. This is a case in Iowa that relies on a pretty dramatic or aggressive interpretation of the Iowa Consumer Fraud Act. That's a law that prohibits deception when advertising or selling merchandise. So you can imagine Trump's legal team here looking for a law in Iowa they can use to sue Ann Selzer and the Des Moines Register and its parent company, Gannett. And they've landed on this consumer fraud protection law. They're basically arguing that the poll was an example of fraud, that it was, quote, election interfering fiction. Now, as you said, John, Ann Selzer has a sterling reputation, or at least she did until this year. Her pre-election poll was wildly wrong, and she has acknowledged so. She went through the data last month trying to figure out what went wrong, and she came to the conclusion that she did her job the best she could, and the poll was off for a variety of obscure reasons that just chalked up to the reality of the difficulty of polling. In other words, she's saying she reported the facts the best she could, but Trump is saying...
I think, okay, whatever, fair enough. Let's go back and rewind a little bit to what she said now, or what they're accusing of. This law that they're described, essentially what Trump and his legal team are arguing is that because you're not allowed to misuse or lie essentially to sell merchandise, i.e. a newspaper, which is this group's what's the best way to say it? Their merchandise. So at the end, like, they're selling their merchandise based off of a lie. So Trump's legal team is saying that you selling that lie is constituting as election interference. So, I mean, do you consider that a stretch? I mean, let's just be honest. After everything that we saw the Democrats and the left do towards Trump over the last 4 years, 8 years, 12 years, everything that we've seen, I'm not mad at them. Get them back. Revenge. There's always a counter. For every reaction, there's a reaction. Basic science.
This poll was fiction. It distorted the final days of the election. This seems like a legal long shot, but oftentimes when Trump files suit, the goal is not necessarily to win, it's to make his opponents suffer. And this might be one of those cases, John.
Yeah, look, polls miss sometimes. I mean, that's why there's always a margin of error. This was way out of the margin of error, but polls miss sometimes. You talk about how sometimes Trump does this to cause pain. There may be an even bigger strategy here, which Trump frankly alluded to at this news conference as he heads into this new administration.
Yes, talking about straightening out the press. That's a euphemism for trying to tone down any and all negative or critical coverage. And we know that he spent his first term in office deriding so-called fake news, trying to label real news as fake. Now he's taking actions, not just using his words, but taking actions. And I don't think it's a coincidence that he was able to prevail against ABC with that shocking.
I'm sorry, guys. I can't do it. I can't do it because no, that's not what it is. What these news organizations were doing was using their influence and their platforms to suppress information on on the Democrats. Let's just tell the truth, shame the devil, and tell the Democrats while actively running smear campaigns against Donald Trump. This is a fact. This is a fact. Look up the Time magazine article where they admit that they were operating as a cabal with the sole intent of ensuring that Donald Trump did not win the previous election. You can look it up yourself.
$15 million settlement on Saturday. And then on Monday, he has his legal team file this suit in Iowa. He has threatened other suits as well, and he has a number of them pending. But let's remember that the law goes both ways. Trump is also being sued for defamation by multiple parties. This case, though, this is a rarity because it is a fraud case. We will see pretty quickly, I think, whether a judge in Iowa takes this seriously. But the broader point, as Pollster Palmieri wrote last night, the broader point might here be to deter polling in general, to stop pollsters from coming out with polls that make Trump look bad. He has a tremendous amount of power right now, and Trump seems intent on using it in aggressive ways he didn't use the first time around.
All right, Brian, thank you for being on top of all of this reporting, coming on live. Happy holidays.
Let me ask you about some of the other things that Donald Trump said yesterday in his first post-election press conference. During it, he did what he loves to do, is take aim at his...
I'm sorry, before we let this lady cook, I'm going to just say, don't you guys get tired of all this fear-mongering? That's all they do. That's all they do. Let's just be honest. These people are in a panic. They're in a panic. They're in a panic because they don't know, they honestly... They have contrived Donald Trump to be this big bad boogeyman that honestly he can never measure up to. He can never measure up to it. So, I mean, I don't care about people and how they feel. I mean, you dismiss how I feel, I'll dismiss how you feel. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm sorry. This is pathetic.
At his favorite targets, the media. Here's some of what he said.
Sign up for Uber One for students and get free items daily from top brands. Things like free Starbucks on Mondays.
I want to expand on the defamation lawsuits. Could you see moving that to other people with individual platforms, social media influencers, people that...
Or newspapers, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I do. I think you have to do it because they're very dishonest. I'm going to be bringing one against the people in Iowa, their newspaper, which had a very, very good pollster who got me right all the time. And then just before the election, she said I was going to lose by 3 or 4 points.
All right, so he talked about he was going to sue that renowned pollster in Iowa. We've just gotten this in from our Brian Stelter, Caitlin Polance, and Paula Reed that he is escalating his legal campaign against media outlets and is suing now that pollster, Jay and Seltzer. So I want to ask you, Michael, is this a scare tactic? You heard the question there about this isn't just legacy media that could be sort of threatened or sued.
Look at
but
her.
anybody that makes a negative comment is a scare tactic to keep people from doing, negative reporting if that's what is out there.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a scare tactic, but I do know in our country, we permit everyone under our current laws to file a lawsuit if they have a potential claim against someone. And that litigation will move forward or it will fail on its merits. A judge will look at the allegations. A judge will assess whether or not it should move forward. And if it can't move forward, then the judge will dismiss it. If the judge does believe that there is potentially enough there to move forward, then it should move forward as it would for me as a regular individual or the president of the United States. I wouldn't necessarily distinguish the difference. So I don't know if it's a scare tactic any more than it is the president-elect saying, wait a minute here. I think this poll was a bit ludicrous, which I certainly, as a strategist, believed at the time it was ludicrous, and I still maintain that position. And I want to understand, why was it moved forward when every other polling data across the country cited something different? And if a judge looks at those claims, Sarah, and says, you know what, let's move this thing forward, then it should. I respect the justice system, and I would assume that most Americans would respect it as well.
Yeah, you think suing over a polling, which isn't always right. I mean, there's a slippery slope there, and I'm curious, Chuck, to you, as to whether or not you think this is a tactic to try to silence people or sort of have a chilling effect.
Shout out to him for actually making some sense. I'm surprised. It's CNN. CNN, I don't expect much. Maybe that's a low-hanging fruit. But I'm just saying.
Well, let's be clear. I've been running campaigns for 38 years, and if we start suing people for bad polls, count me all in, and a lot of trauma in my life over that time period. But just like my good friend Shermichael said about how Democrats have pontificated about healthcare system, I remember when Republicans used to say free speech was a really big deal, and we shouldn't be silencing the media. We should have a free and open press. There's two different things happening here. Donald Trump is trying to make a point, like he always does, by flooding the zone. He's going out here to make ABC and other folks spend a lot of money that they don't have to do. And I think that's why they settled. They don't want to spend all of this money fighting him because he has unlimited money. And I know we're going to talk about all of his billionaire friends. He got money behind money. But when you start talking about individual polls that he just don't like, then put me in line with him, because there's a lot of polls I hadn't liked over my 30 years.
Chuck Rocha, Michael Singleton, thank you both so much for that.
That was a good one, Chuck. That was a good one.
Lively discussion.
I'll be here all week.
Let's go to CNN media correspondent Ross Gold. She joined.
It was funny, but I mean, essentially, I mean, you guys get the point. I mean, you just see the way, even just the disdain that she had. Like, really suing someone? Like, these people, for some reason, it doesn't go off of what they actually put Donald Trump through and what they actually put the viewers and the American people through. Maybe I don't care because you fell for it. But I'm just saying, it's just pathetic to see to just see how the mainstream media operates. I think that's the best way to say it. And I don't know. I don't know. I'm glad that Donald Trump is suing these people. Sue them. These people have been lying on you. Anybody that says certain lies, I would sue them. Sue. You gonna lie about me? You've been doing it. I'll let you get away with it all this time. Now, guess what? You got to find another cash cow. You got to find something else, another way to make money than to spread lies about Donald J. Trump. That's what I would do. I completely understand. But with that being said, I'm going to just go ahead and wrap this up. So I appreciate you. You made it to the end. Like and subscribe, share it with a friend, and, sign out.